Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Society Now, a show that endeavors to bring you riveting content that inspires, excites, and invokes. I'm your host. My name is Kira Laws, and you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy. And I have once again Senor Wapo with us, the guy, the man with a plan. He's this man, this great guy, and he's also on the Spirit Podcast Network for G is for Gentlemen. And introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, how y'all doing? Kaylin Laws, as the lovely and indomitable Kira Monique Laws said. I am a co-host of a little show called G is for Gentlemen, where we discuss all things gentlemanly, especially as it relates to the man of color. You can follow me at 71. I'm sorry, I'm about to give you my phone number.
Please don't follow him at his phone number.
At Senor Wapo 713.
Leave here today and get a number change.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness.
At Senor Wapo 713 on all social media outlets: the Gram, Twitter, Facebook. You can catch me on all of them at that name.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what else is going on? Like I see. We have we want to welcome people, or
we got some Facebook Live folks going in. So if you are on Facebook Live, we want you all to share this post. Share it. We appreciate everybody for tuning in that's coming on, and those who will come on throughout the broadcast. We only are with you guys for about 15 minutes or so.
A very short amount of time.
So make sure that within that 15 minutes you engage yourself, you comment, you like, you thumbs up, you be a part of the show, and then go and subscribe.
So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So last week, after we ended our show last week, it seems like we walked into like Tuesday morning was crazy.
Man.
We walked into all types of stuff. Number one being is this whole thing that's happening in D.C. right now. And one of the things that's going on is that Billy Bush pretty much put our commander-in-chief on blast, saying that he's a liar. So I just since he liar.
Pants on fire.
And it's so interesting because the very thing that the president is saying that he did not say is the thing that he actually winded up saying that he did say during the campaign period, and he denied the pretense under which it was said, but he admitted that was him saying it on tape because it was found on tape. And I believe Billy Bush actually winded up losing his position on a TV show because of it.
He did.
Because it was recorded on Access Hollywood. So Billy Bush is like, no, absolutely, he lied about saying that wasn't him. And it's interesting. Is I want to say, like, does he have amnesia? Does the president have amnesia? Because we know this actually came out during the election. Clearly, it didn't stop him from becoming president. But it's interesting how he's trying to deny it now.
Well, to the question, does he have amnesia? No, he doesn't have amnesia. He just doesn't want to lose, and he doesn't want to, regardless of his age, he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in jail, because that's what it would amount to, right?
Absolutely.
And so we have to wait and see what's going on. But it's slowly turning into the tides are turning favorably towards the folks who do not support President Trump, and so. Listen, there's so much to be said with the Flynn thing going on. It's just.
I mean, we're going to talk about that as well because it's just interesting. Again, I wanted to start off with that because many of us we're raised in a society where we're told that if you tell a lie or a fib,
right,
you'll get in trouble for it. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this story unfolds. And I don't necessarily know if people are. I haven't seen a story yet that goes back and recalls what happened during the election, but I'm waiting for someone to actually go back and say, hey, remember during the election this was brought up then as well.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting. Now, in the midst of what's happening in our society as it relates to a lot of people being busted for sexual assault, we're hearing that Rupaul is now claiming that our current President Trump touched him inappropriately in 1990s. He said it happened while he was celebrating the release of the movie To Wong Fu, and he was coming out of the restroom, and he said Trump jumped on him and kissed him and started grabbing his butt. I'm going to say that. And he pulled his dress up to grab his genitals. And I was like, was he touching to make sure it was real? Like, what's happening here? But because everyone knows RuPaul has never not been
terrible.
A man.
Yeah.
You know,
he's always
been
been
a cross-dresser. He knows
right.
who he is. He's always been a cross-dresser. And so for another male to do this is different. I mean, it's not like the sports where men hit each other on the butt and stuff like that, things that y'all do on the field and on the court.
Right.
This was RuPaul being groped by another man, or allegedly being groped by another
Right.
man. It's interesting. It happens to be, like I said, our current president. No one probably would have known in the 1990s he would become president now. So, I think this is an interesting allegation. It's going to be, interesting to watch how this unfolds.
RuPaul said, in the article
It's
it said,
RuPaul.
I quote, that he used me as an object.
As an object.
And that goes to the idea that, only women can be sexually assaulted, number one. Number two, listen, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
And so I think that the bigger picture is for those who have, unfortunately, been the people on the other side, the ones who are doing and or allegedly have done the sexual assaulting. People are gonna come for you, man.
I mean, right now,
people are gonna come for you, and it started with Dr. Cosby. It's been equitable since that. Like since it, I dislike and disagree with what happened, and I think facts for every case are going to be different, right?
Yeah.
But what does remain the same, and what has been constant is people are gonna come for you.
Yeah.
Listen, if in this day and age, the whistleblowers are here, and they're whistling real loud.
They're whistling real hard, and like you said, Dr. Cosby. Keep going back to the Dr. Cosby case. Unfortunately, at the time, Society Now was not on the air, but we are now, and we watched those allegations go on for a couple of years, almost a couple of years, and he was there standing alone with that. Now there's numerous allegations coming out against many people who are considered to be big wigs in their areas of influence. And so it's just like you said, it's equitable in that no one's safe, and everybody's blowing back the covers and saying this is what happened. It's just unfortunate that we had to have, I feel like it's unfortunate that so many martyrs had to go before in different areas. We're seeing and that we thought was inequitable at the time, and we're seeing it come full circle.
Right.
With that, one of the questions that keep coming up is, why are so many African American women quiet on this situation? Because we just don't believe this happened just to one race of people, right? We don't think it just happened to Caucasian women. We know it's happening across the board to not just women, but also it's gender equal, right? So it's not just women being sexually assaulted as men. Well, in terms of African American women, one of the things that I was reading was that historically for African American women, when way back, we've always been silenced when it comes to sexual assault. Of course, we can go back to slavery, and then at that point, you weren't assaulted; you were property, right? But then, as we progressed as a nation, when women did speak up, specifically, there was a historic case, even recently, that was just now prosecuted in the Supreme Court, that started in 1944, and it's becoming a movie. And the woman that was brought the case up, her name was Reese Taylor, and in September 3rd, 1944 in Alabama, she was raped by 7 men. 7 men total took her into the woods by gun and pretty much all had their way with her for about 4 hours. And she did say something. They didn't really take her case seriously. Because of that, they firebombed her home. They called her a prostitute and all kinds of things she had to live with. Now, it wasn't until 2011 when she was 91 years old that case finally got a fair look. 91 years old. How many years? And you think about the injustices that we saw because of that, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a prime example of the law isn't always fair.
Yeah.
And the law is cumbersome. Just like government is cumbersome. The law is a product of government. It's cumbersome, right? Meaning it takes a while to get moving and for things to get done. The bureaucratic processes that law has to go through in order for justice to be had and to be served. I am thankful that finally she's getting her just due her day in court, but it is horrible, deplorable, and utterly untenable that she had to wait so long. 91 years old. Like,
I thank God she was still
alive at 91, right? 91. After being assaulted by 7 people, and this was just, unfortunately, in Jim Crow era South, black women were targeted because black women had the smallest voice. Yeah. At least black men could physically fight back. Yes, you were going to meet your demise more than likely, but black women were women, and they were just, for all intents and purposes, the lowest of the lows, the peons. And so this is an unfortunate reality that happened. I'm sure there are cases, dozens and if not thousands of cases across the Jim Crow era South. So it's one of those things that regardless of how much money you made, regardless of where you worked, regardless of your income level or your status, right? Because there were some successful black people back then, right?
For sure.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. And we still, they wanted to have a great life back then. Mm-hmm. And one way that you can have a great life back then and back now, right, is
take care of your money.
It's take care of your money, honey. And there's a good way to do that. And the way you can do that is by the folks who are sponsoring this portion of the show. And that is Houston Housewives of Finance.
Come on now.
Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million of Americans don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month. And 39% of adults say they don't have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email us at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services. So, it's terrible, Kira.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely terrible that it took so long, but I'm glad that at least it's being recognized.
Absolutely.
And something is happening.
I mean, justice is starting to become, it's something that everybody can stand up for. We really do want to see most people really do want a just society.
Yes.
Despite some of the actions that may come from different groups, we really do want to see just society. And of course, hello again to everyone that's watching us on Facebook Live. Now, Libya. One of the things that was terrible we woke up to last week was this issue in Libya. We woke up to our social media being slammed with images.
Thank God.
Images of slave trade in Libya. And the most saddening thing about it, of course, is slave trade. And we don't think about that. It's 2017, right? We think about we're here in the United States. That's kind of foreign to us, although we know there's sex trafficking and things like that happening. Genuinely, most people are like, slavery is not acceptable, right? But this is happening in 2017 in Libya, and what was definitely disheartening was that many of the people that were enslaved or possibly being held to be sold are persons who are just migrating through Libya to get to Europe. And it's so unfortunate because right now we have such a, not a clear understanding like how did this happen. We have persons pointing the fingers, a lot of people pointing the fingers at the U.S. government for it because they're saying had we not interfered and had we not meddled in the relations that were happening over there, this possibly would have never occurred because now we have rebel forces that are doing this. And now we have Chad, the president of Chad, President Idris Deby, saying like, hey, you have 24 hours to release all the black African slaves that are being held, or I'm going to go out of bounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of bounds, meaning like he's about to tear some stuff up. He has 10,000 armed soldiers waiting at the Libyan border, just to see, like, because he's like, this can't happen. We can't have this happening.
Yeah, it's so Chad is a part of Central Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Central Africa the continent has been war torn
Mm-hmm.
for a millennia, but Central Africa has really had its fair share of that, with the Congo, with other countries in Central Africa. And so the fact that the president of Chad is vehemently against it, I applaud it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to go back to something that you said, that when people are blaming the U.S., it's one of those things. In all actuality, the U.S. was in a difficult position,
mm-hmm.
because yes, there were oil reserves in Libya.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there were resources in Libya that obviously the U.S. we're known for,
mm-hmm.
is once wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, there still was almost pretty much a dictator in Libya.
Yes.
With Muammar Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you sit there and let those people that were under his rule and in his regime that was in power, do you not go and free them? Now, true enough, and without getting too deep, the UN led by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton went and deposed him and took him out of power, and these rebel forces did pop up. But that's kind of how it is when people have been subjected so long. They just want power back at any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And so the rebel forces have been put down so many times by Muammar Gaddafi's regime.
Mm-hmm.
And now, so it's one of those things, like I'm not quick to blame the U.S., but I'm quick if the shoe fits, wear it. It's so multi-layered and multi-tiered. But the fact that Chad, Idris
Deby,
President Deby, the fact that Chad is willing to do that, I think is, shout out to them. Shout out to standing up for justice.
They're closer. They're close in proximity.
Absolutely, they share
to what's
border.
happening, and sharing that border, and even fear probably for their own residents. So we're not sure if we can go so far. We have to get involved, because what if they push this issue over to our border? How is this going to affect us? So there is a necessity
Mm-hmm.
for them to get involved, because
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things. If you don't do anything, then what can happen?
Right.
So that's really interesting. So this portion of our show is brought to you and sponsored by Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and a friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are a part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Chandra Baptiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Chandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness at 713-789-8680. Again, the number is 713-789-8680. Elite Dental Wellness.
The beautiful thing about Elite Dental Wellness is they help us with our smiles.
Mm-hmm.
They keep us looking good and looking nice. And then, who else keeps us happy and smiling? Our friends over at Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank all of our Facebook Live folks, and we want to ask you to subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. We need you to also review our show in iTunes with constructive feedback. And share, I say again, share this Facebook Live post and the entire show with your family and friends. Donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. And you can donate at www.thesphere.tv/donate. And we want to thank Laurinette Lewis and Taya Revis and my GG. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Garrett Goss, Dim Jeff, Shamara. We thank all of you guys so much for tuning in to us here on Society Now. and we got it's time to bid you guys adieu. But we're gonna keep going with the show. Just make sure you hit subscribe.
Okay, now let's just change gears for a little bit, and in our society where people are overly focused on sharing, oversharing, the need to be so transparent that they don't know how to be, I guess, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. People want to be so transparent. They want to share all parts of their life. They don't know how to be like incognito. They don't know how to like take a step back.
Yeah.
There's some lessons from the GOAT. And who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT, y'all? Who is the GOAT when it comes to keeping their business under
Carters.
The Carters, specifically Beyonce, because she's been doing this for a very long time now. Beyonce she is so incognito with hers. I mean, it would take anything we know about her is because she lets us know. It's not because you found out. Nobody knows.
Or somebody leaked it.
No, nobody knows anything about her unless she wants you to know anything about her. And it's all, and everything she does, trust me, she's gonna get gain from it. So Ed Sheeran, who is actually someone who she's made music with before, she's performed with him as well. He said he's currently working with her on something, and in order for him to get in contact with her, she actually has an email address that he emails stuff back and forth with her. But every week the email address changes. She has a burner email address. She has a burner email address that she uses. But I can imagine the necessity to have one, right? Because
but it's funny you called it a burner email address.
It's called a burner email address, a burner email account, according to Ed Sheeran, that she uses, and it gets changed every week. He has one address, but that he sends information to her, but it's never the same email address. But I'm imagine it has to be that way for her because. Think about people who you don't do business with anymore. You don't want these people randomly popping up, and you don't want their cousins to randomly pop up, right? And so, mom and them, like people start coming out of the woodworks, like so and so and thus and so and all that stuff. So this is the way one of the other ways she keeps her sanity, and I think there's a lesson to be learned from that because, of course, we don't have burner email accounts. I'm sure there's a way to do one. We haven't gotten that far, but we don't have burner email accounts where we should ask our guy.
Right.
I'm sure
Gary,
he knows.
let us know. How does this work? How do
we change our account every week? And I'm sure there's a way to do this.
I don't know if I want to do. That's a lot.
Right. But it's interesting because for someone for that stature, when they really are trying to keep a low profile, this is what you do. But it's amazing in our society, people don't want to keep a low profile. What do you think that's about?
Well, we've just become accustomed to being in each other's space or become accustomed of thinking we know everything about each other, right? Social media, people putting up, I remember when Facebook started to really blow, just before, the early 2000s, not before the early 2000s, but
right at the beginning. Mm-hmm.
People were like, why are you putting that you drove to work? Why are you putting extra? You know what I'm saying?
So much.
And then the same thing they were saying with Twitter, and it just grew. It's more and more and more and more. With the live. Now we have live feed, Facebook Live, Instagram Live. All of this kind of deal, and so people are just accustomed to having access and don't really understand, especially the newer and younger generations, the need for privacy, or as the British say, privacy.
Privacy. I love privacy. I'm probably, in my sphere of influence, I'm probably the most private person that I know because I really do take pride in not sharing every detail of my life. I think it's exciting to me not to share everything about yourself. Even in my, as a family, I really don't feel like I have to share all the details of my life. I feel like you get information as I give it to you because timing is necessary. And I think I don't know her personally, but I feel like she has to have time to enjoy her life without sharing it with everybody. Sure. And I feel like I take the same, like I want to enjoy what's happening with me before I share with everybody. Because sometimes you get bombarded with so much information or so much questions. People feel like they deserve answers because as soon as you start sharing, then you open yourself up to, whatever is going to happen in that next. I'm like, because people are like, well, if you don't want anybody to know, you shouldn't have said anything, which is true. I feel like in order to control that part of your life, there's certain parts of you that you're going to have to, I guess, divvy out at times when you're comfortable about sharing more information because the more you share, the more they want. So it's just, I think it's important that she does this, and I think that we should start taking more notes.
And even from a business standpoint, it's smart because remember, she was in a business relationship that went sour, that she didn't have any control over when she initially got into the business, right? And so, that's when she was with Destiny's Child and all of the iterations of the group that they had and things of that nature. So from a business standpoint, it makes sense as well because those folks with whom she she had contact when she was under her, when she was under Matthew Knowles in what is the name of it? A Dream.
Yeah, I don't know.
I forgot the name of the label, but anyway, those relationships she might not want anymore, or people, they know people, so they know how to get whomever's information, and so it's really, 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 really smart.
And I think
smart.
I totally agree. I think it's nothing wrong with establishing or reestablishing relationships as you feel comfortable, and boundaries. And I think that's something that we have to take back, not just for this generation or the younger generation, but all generations. Like, I think boundaries have to be established because you have to be able to find your identity. Most of us were raised a certain way to become whoever we were raised to be. But if that's not who you really are, then those boundaries need to be shaped and shaped to where you're comfortable. So I think it's really great. Now, this is a great article that I was reading. I call it Taking What's Yours. And I want to just, can I one clap Nas right now? I'm a one clap Nas right now because Nas is in I'm going to say a visitation battle because it's not a custody battle. This is his son. He knows his son. But he's in a visitation issue because he's saying that he has not been able to see his son the way he would like to see his son. His ex-wife is not allowing him to do this. And he has, honestly, people may think this is a very confusing custody order, but it's not really a confusing custody order. It really isn't, or visitation order. The reason why it isn't because most people's visitation orders, if it's not standard, it has to work with the two, right? And so his visitation order is kind of like first, third, fifth weekends or first, third, fifth weeks of the month. And, odd summers, I have the son, even summers, you have the son, odd birthdays, I have him, even summers, he's trying to make it amicable that everybody gets their time. Hopefully this works out for him. He's not a deadbeat. We know that he already pays alimony, a lot of it. A lot of it gets paid to Khalees. And some people are saying that the reason why this is happening to them now is because he's currently in a relationship with another celebrity, and he feels like this is the reason why she's all of a sudden has created this barrier to him seeing his son. Now they've been divorced for 7 years. 7 years. 7, y'all. They weren't married very long. They dated for a minute and everybody thought they were going to make it, and then it went sour for whatever reason. Now 7 years later, we're having this conversation. This man still has his rights to his kid, and I just want to applaud him for actually fighting for the right, because a lot of people be like, I'm not about to argue with you, so whatever, you're gonna have to explain it to him later on. But I'm glad he's like, no, I'm not going to put that on you because I don't want you to sully my name, right, trying to make it look like I wasn't willing to fight for you.
And agreed. And Nas, he has been through his music, through his 25-year career, very open about his relationship, how he had a great relationship with his pops, with his father, with Oludara. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And one clap for a great relationship with your father, and so he's trying to do the same thing and attempting to do the same thing with his son. And I for the life of me, I don't get with all of the stuff that's said, and everybody, like you have to be under 7 rocks to not know the importance of your child's father being in your child's life.
Absolutely.
And so why, with all the information that's out there and it's public knowledge at this point, would you not want as long as he's not doing anything wrong, right, illegal or unethical or anything of that nature, why would you not want him in your kid's life? I just don't. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Kids are not leverage. Kids are not bargaining tools. Absolutely kids are none of that. And so it incenses me when people do that. I'm not going to say women, because men do it too.
Yeah.
When people do it, it really irks me.
Well, we don't know the answers to these questions, but I pray that they come to a resolution. Agreed. Because no one really gets hurt for sure, but the kid. I mean, yes, Nas is hurting too, but you're damaging a relationship, and I can't find a reason, barring him being an abusive parent, which has not been alleged. You're creating an unnecessary barrier. So we just pray that everyone becomes unselfish in the situation and gives a little bit more. Okay, now let's talk about this.
Let's do it.
Now, last week everybody was high-fiving, excited because we're gonna finally get a black princess, y'all. Not a Barbie princess, not a princess on a Disney movie, but a real princess in the palace, and she's African American. Yes, that rule still applies. Even though she has one parent that is not African American, she's black all day, y'all. Her mom has dreadlocks. I just want to put that in there. It's a beautiful thing. Well, anyways, she's a princess. She's going to be a princess soon. And royals are not immune to people coming for their wallets.
Nah.
They're not immune for it. And it seems like she's not in, she's no different. She has a half sister, or a stepsister who has writing a book about her all of a sudden, saying the diary of the sister of Princess Pushy. And she's pretty much saying that, she's saying that this dear girl, Meghan, has always been, I guess, determined and destined to become, and destined to be like big time. She's saying that, she never helped her. And she's actually, the person that's writing this is much older than her. She's actually her half sister who happens to be white. And she's saying that, she's suffering from, I don't know if it's Parkinson's or something like that, but she's actually disabled. And she's saying that her sister never helped her or offered to take care of her. Now, I wanted to throw some facts out here, and maybe she's not aware of this, but just because your sister was on a few TV shows doesn't mean she was rich. African-American actors and actresses are about the lowest paid in Hollywood, if not around, or if not the lowest paid in Hollywood. If she was on the show, no matter how many seasons it ran, I'm almost certain she wasn't banking $1 million a show or even $80,000 a show. Kerry Washington barely makes what she makes and on Scandal, right? Mm-hmm. And she's one of the highest paid actresses. Mm-hmm. This sweet girl, I'm sure, wasn't making $80,000 a show. I'm just not even $800,000. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You have to be realistic. What exactly do you want her to do for you, sister? You know what I mean? And now you're trying to make money off of her now with the book. You have your hand out, and and it's interesting. It's coming from her because, again, we're not saying that, y'all don't have your issues, your family issues, but why write a book about it?
This is crazy. Like, I don't get it whatsoever. I don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, your health challenges are your health challenges,
right?
And that sucks. It's
that
whack.
Sucks.
It's horrible, right?
It sucks.
But to expect someone to do for you when they don't have to is something that I never understood.
They don't have to, and nor did y'all. You never said that y'all relationship was like that. That y'all were so close, and at some point she just turned her back on you. That's not the storyline,
right?
Here.
And now sister just looks salty. Like, no. I'm trying to make a check. Because off of her name, I'm gonna write this book, call her the Pushy Princess, which is actually kind of funny, but great name, great title of the book. But I'm just saying, it's one of those things that she just looks salty.
And she does look salty, and this is the thing. You should be happy for your sister. I mean, I think if you have a personal beef with her, you keep your personal beef personal in terms of you keep it behind closed doors.
We just talked about privacy, right?
Yeah, privacy. Exercise some privacy. Learn something from the royals, right? Don't put all your business in the street. There's no need to type up a manuscript, sell it to the UK, whatever, or the United States, whatever. Like, right. It's just not necessary. Like, everybody's family has issues. There's no need to do this. It's so silly. So I just wanted to share that because, listen, the royals are not immune to people with their hand out, regardless of who they are. Now, coming to some craziness, y'all. 2016, y'all remember that last year was like crazy. The summer was crazy. It seemed like every other week we were hearing about somebody being killed. Facebook Live was ridiculous. We were seeing people getting killed on Facebook Live. We were seeing riots. We were seeing a lot of things happening in the street. We were seeing Baltimore. Things were just happening all over. Well, amongst those things, we had the Philando Castile issue that occurred. It was terrible that what happened to him. He was shot in a car with his girlfriend. His girlfriend's child was in the car as well. Neither one of them were injured, but they actually watched him die because an officer said that he thought he was reaching for his gun to shoot, and he really was showing him his documentation to show that, hey, I have my papers. Well, she just won a settlement. Thank you. A settlement from the court saying that it was, it's a settlement for the wrongful death and all that stuff. And it was $800,000. $800,000. Now, that's a lot of money for regular people, but it's not going to remove the trauma that she experienced, nor did her child experience. The horrible thing about this is once they gave her the settlement, what was said, which was caught and documented, was that she will probably just blow the settlement on crack cocaine. Now, y'all, I'm so sorry. This came from a Minnesota city official. My issue with this is so first of all, we never heard about her having any drug addiction at all. At all. She never was said to be a crack addict, a coke, a heroin addict, a hooker, a whore, a prostitute. She was a woman that was in a relationship with this man. I think they were presumably engaged, and and she watched him die in front of her. She had enough sense to record what was happening, enough sense to make the right phone calls, to say the right things so her head wouldn't get blown off, and neither would her child. But for them to say, a city official to say she'll probably blow it on crack cocaine, what does that tell you about what they think about African American people when we get money? Everybody don't use drugs, but what does that tell you, though?
I have no words.
Trading a bullet for cocaine, like what
I have
what
no
the hell?
word. I have no words. First of all, she only got $800,000. That's like, seriously? Yes, that's a lot of money, but she only got $800,000. Like, that's anyway.
That's taxable.
That's taxable. So she's gonna get 620 or whatever. You know
Absolutely
what I'm saying?
Right.
If there was lump sum, anyway. Okay, I'm sorry, but then to call this woman to say that this woman is just probably gonna blow it on crack cocaine. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, Kira. In that there was no information whatsoever indicating that she was a drug user whatsoever. And so to say this, it just furthers the examples of what, like you said, what they think about us. They think we're drug addicts. They think we're street people. They think we're less than. And of course, I don't mean to lump all law enforcement and all officials in that bucket, but in that part of Minnesota, that town, they said it was extremely racially divided. It was extremely the minorities did not feel like they were wanted, or they were there just was not a good relationship between those in power and those without power. So it just underscores that ridiculously. And he needs to be fired. He needs to be censored. They need to demand that he gives a public apology, and he needs to be fired.
I mean, but we've seen this before, because we keep seeing the same little narrative of negativity. It was just a couple of months ago, or a month or so ago, where we saw when Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, I think his last name was, when he was killed, and his wife was like, "That's not my husband. I don't think what's happening is right." I think she was trying to defend the fact that the president was very callous toward her. They put her on TV and they tried to mock her, and then it came out that everything she said was true, and that was not her husband in the casket. And it's like this whole little narrative of trying to paint this negative, ugly picture of African Americans as if we're crazy, or if we're not able to be a part of society. As it's just really crazy. Now, granted, like what Kaylin said, that's not everybody's opinion, and we know that to be true. That's really not everybody's opinion. But unfortunately, the people with the microphones, the people with the platforms, a lot of them, I'm not going to say majority, but a lot of those persons' voices are louder than the voices of those who don't agree. So what we need to happen is the voice of those who don't agree. We need those persons to start speaking up and standing up, because it's not helping to be silent on issues when this is not true, right? These things aren't true. Some of these horrible little stereotypes have been going on for a long time that paint the biases that people have toward persons of color, whether they're African American, Hispanic or Spanish speaking, Asian American, whatever they are. They don't help to paint this picture when you have interaction with persons that they don't live into these biases. So it's just very, very interesting. Now let's skip down a little bit and talk about what's going on actually in the Trump administration as it relates to Michael Flynn pleading guilty and saying that he was directed and instructed by the current president, to actually make contact with Russia. This is probably it's really not news to a lot of people, because everyone felt like this had to happen, because we've seen since this administration has taken office, we've seen literally a lot of people leave, a lot of people get fired, a lot of persons be replaced. We've seen this, and we're all wondering, why is this happening? And it comes out that Flynn says, I was directed to make contact with Russia. This is what I was told to do. Of course, these allegations are being denied heavily. And one of the things that make the story even more funny, because he's like, Trump White House is trying to distance itself from Michael Flynn. Of course they are. He's saying like this is happening. At this point, he has no reason to lie. right? Because what does he have to lose? Nothing.
Like he's already lost it all.
Right. He pled guilty. This happened, y'all.
Yeah, he's not getting out of jail.
He's not getting out of jail. But if we just kind of think about it and kind of move forward a little bit with this story, Donald Trump's personal lawyer actually says that, hey, no matter what the president has said, he cannot technically be guilty of obstruction of justice. The president's lawyer says this. He says that the reason why is because he hasn't in fact lied about anything, and a lot of things that he has tweeted recently has come from him, the lawyer. What are your thoughts on that? Now, I just kind of lumped together three big headlines, but it's one big story, right?
Yeah.
It is broken up. But the latest of the story is the fact that the personal lawyer said he can't be guilty of obstruction of justice. And I'm like, how? How, Sway?
Yeah, so the whole Twitter thing, all of the tweets and stuff like that potentially could not have come from Trump. That's I don't know how you prove that, right? That
he said he wrote them,
yeah,
and the president tweeted them.
Regardless, but that doesn't matter, because if I gave you the bullets and you shot somebody, is it me? I just gave you the bullets.
Unless you had an obligation to check my ID to make sure I wasn't a felon, but we don't have that type of law, do we?
Message.
But we don't have that. But then you're not personally responsible, right?
Right, exactly, because I just gave you the bullets. So to me, that's bull. That's smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
And all of this is smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding Michael T. Flynn, we knew that. Thank you, Michael Flynn, for being honest, so we can get this part of our history. Just get it out the way. Get this dude.
We can't even say
out of office.
And we just need the truth, right? What really happened?
So he's going to deny it. I'm like Jamal Bryant, Dr. Jamal Bryant. Grab my popcorn and watch this show unfold. Watch the show unfold, because the show has been so ridiculous, almost like a slapstick comedy, so far. But now it's about to really get good, because I really, really want to see Trump administration and his campaign held accountable. They need to be held accountable, because you got to think about it, Kira. We've talked about this. But to have another country interfere with how we choose our elected officials is tantamount, in my mind, to treason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that is one of the tenets in the fabric of our country and our nation is that we have free elections.
Yeah.
Unopposed with outside forces. And so when you take that tenet away, you go against the Bill of Rights, you go against the Constitution, you go against the very fabric of this nation.
Absolutely,
so
I agree.
It needs to be this. Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. Now, in the midst of all of this happening, we still see a lot of persons almost like they're in denial about this occurring in our lifetime.
How?
It's not that it can't happen. We just have never seen it happen, and we never have seen it to happen. This type of I don't even know what the word is, but we've never seen it happen to this level, right?
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, maybe it has happened, but not in our lifetime, right? Maybe I don't consider myself to be the best history buff, but I know we've had some presidential scandals in U.S. history. So this might be likened to some other things that have occurred. But right now, it's kind of like this. We really can't believe it just went down.
We've never had an election tampered with.
Right. This is just different. Okay. Now moving really quickly along, and I want to circle back. But before we circle back, I want to give just a shout out to the Sphere, because this is the portion of the show is sponsored by the Sphere.
Hey.
Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at the Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States, as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. Again, the number is 772-7789 or email us at advertise@thesphere.tv. Shout out to The Sphere with inspiring and rich content.
Like society now.
Like society now, like G is for G.
Hey,
for real.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Now let's circle back real quickly. So one of the things that we talked about recently was Russell Simmons. I think last we mentioned Russell Simmons, but his name was on the list. We mentioned before that his name was on the list in terms of sexual assault.
We did.
But HBO has taken a step. Now HBO has decided. Now Russell Simmons already said he was stepping down from his businesses. He was going to allow other people to run the business, which is fine. He said he was going to use one of his yoga studios to create a place of wellness and healing for persons who have been troubled with this issue. But HBO took a step and said they're removing his name from Def Comedy Jam. Now, Def Comedy Jam just came back on the air, y'all. It was one of those things I remember watching as a young teenager
at night.
Growing up, my cousin used to make tapes, y'all, VHS tapes on a VCR.
EP or SP or
I don't
LP?
know, but I remember. I remember her making these tapes of Def Comedy Jam, and so I was like, well, I thank goodness, I'm thankful that that it wasn't that they took the show off the air completely, because these people are unaffiliated with what he did, right? So it was just a great step for them to take his name off the show in terms of the title, but they didn't cancel the show, because we know that Def Comedy Jam does give opportunities for new comedians or persons who don't necessarily get the platform, and it becomes a segue for them to get discovered or rediscovered, right? Or introduced to persons that may or may not be able to see them. So it was a good move for HBO. I'm happy that HBO did not just cancel the show completely, because I don't necessarily think you have to punish everyone for the sins of one.
Right. And the brand it really isn't Russell Simmons Def Comedy Jam. It's Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah.
You know what? People know that he's affiliated with it. People know, his moniker. Thank y'all for coming. God bless y'all. Good night. At the end of it, all of this kind of deal. So it doesn't hurt. Like you said, it was a smart move. Mm-hmm. It was a smart move to appease those who have been the accusers. It's a smart move for PR for the organization, and it doesn't hurt the brand. And like you said, so many people have been broken on Def Comedy Jam. I mean, we can go to Gambit. We can go to the Bernie Macs. We can go to the D-Raids. Martin Lawrence, exactly, the original host. We can go to, so we can just keep going
Kid
and going.
Capri.
Absolutely.
Shout
out Kid Capri.
I mean, I used to actually go to Cancun just to listen. I mean, he said these little back in the day, y'all.
She's a baller, y'all. She used to go to Cancun. Listen, she went so many places she couldn't remember the island.
No. That's not what happened. But I will tell you that because me and my cousins grew up watching Comedy Jam, when we found out about the little party that was happening in Cancun, I mean, it wasn't that. It was just the whole jazz festival weekend. We went to the club, and he was so dope that when he was DJing, when he came out to start, they knew the people was gonna dance so hard. The air came on. All you heard was
because it was gonna be so hot.
Y'all. I had never experienced that in my life, because this was a huge club, and you felt the cold come in. It was because they didn't want it
cold long.
No,
the boys is out there getting in, huh? Shout out to the '90s and DJ Kid Capri.
Come on, '90s. I mean, this was like at the tail end.
So you had to be in shape, like it was a cardio session to dance back then, right?
It was a cardio session.
Like if you weren't wet, something was wrong.
But I never liked that, though, and I didn't like the people who were wet and musty and stinky.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes a wet and musty person.
I didn't like. But anyways, let's move right along. Okay, so skin does not mean kin, y'all. And when I say skin, I mean skin color. And I mean, a lot of people out here think that, hey, because you and I may be brown, that we must actually just cut for one another like that. Now, and, we would like to believe that's the case for everyone, but that's not always the case. Now, we're seeing, as we circle back, we see Meek Mill is going through this situation with his judge, right? Now, this judge has been accused of pretty much using her position to get her way, and she couldn't get away with him. He didn't think she was serious when she was like, pretty much drop your commitment with Rock Nation. Don't do this, don't do that. Sign with my friend. Make a rap about me. They were like, what? It was crazy. And after he said no, she threw him in solitary confinement. Now, no human being really needs to be in solitary confinement, but I understand it will drive you crazy. Right. But he was able to be moved to what is it, general population,
yeah.
and at another jail, and he did his attorneys were requesting that he gets bail. She made it a point to deny bail, and I thought the case was saying that they were trying to get her removed, but apparently that didn't happen. But she denied bail. She said he was a flight risk and a danger to the community. She also said that she was really concerned that he wouldn't be able to she was going to be able to question his authenticity of his drug test if he was on bail. Now, I'm not sure how much information, if he was going to be bringing in his urine or someone else's. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Now, it's interesting that she would say that, because we all know that there's many ways to drug test someone.
Listen, this is a vendetta, pure and simple.
But it's unnecessary, right?
For sure.
But this is the thing. A lot of people are like, why are you doing this, my black sister? This is the thing. This is the story. This is the story I need everybody to understand. Just because someone may look like you in terms of skin tone, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're your brother or sister. It doesn't mean they always have your back. I don't necessarily know what is making the story as complicated as it is. It seems like it's very extreme for him popping a wheelie as of a parole violation. Now, that just seems like a lot to me. Sentencing this man to 2 to 4 years in prison, that just seems like a lot, especially when the prosecutor and his attorney said he didn't, and his parole officer said it was not necessary to jail him. It just seems like a lot. And I think that like you said, personal vendetta, probably. But it just seems like it's so much more that we don't know about this story. And it just, I feel like it's an unnecessary punishment. I mean, maybe she has a plan. Like, I'm going to just see how far I'm going to take it, and then I'll let him go.
Did he date her cousin or sister or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like what happened? Because this is a personal vendetta. And shout out to you for these section titles. Skin don't mean kin. That's fly. If y'all can see this, some of the work that Kira puts in when she's developing her show, man, these section titles, they are really clever. They are really skin. I'm like, wait, that was the title? That was dope. Skin does not mean kin. For sure.
I appreciate you paying attention to that. It's the little thing.
It's the little thing.
It helps me remember what's happening.
No doubt.
Okay.
What else is happening?
Okay, so let's move along. Now, this list is getting longer. Now, we talked about RuPaul earlier, saying that President Trump assaulted him sexually in the 1990s on the set of Two on Food, or celebrating Two on Food's release. Now, Geraldo Rivera, who has not necessarily been the most likable guy since his show, right? He had the show. I don't know if people remember that. He actually used to have a talk show. And in the show, he was okay. But when he transitioned into this journalist on these shows, he became this, I don't know, this other combative, very like jerk. This person that people were like, oh my God, he's just a lot. Well, he's being accused by Bette Midler of sexual assault. She says that in 1991, she was being interviewed on something project she was working on. Actually, excuse me. No. She reported this in 1991. She said in the early 70s, he assaulted her. He and the producer left the crew in the other room. They pushed her into the bathroom. They broke to her poppers, pushed her under the nose, and proceeded to grope her and feel her up. And she said that he has never apologized to her for it, although he condemned
Matt Lauer.
She says that he never apologized to her for what he did to her in the 70s. She reported it in the 90s. No one took her seriously.
Yeah.
It's so sad, because I'm like, it's Bette Midler, y'all.
Yeah, like she's Hollywood royalty.
Like,
and so her weight, the weight of her word is actually really, really strong.
But it's so sad, because I'm like, that just goes to show, this is where we talk about social justice, right? Because this is where we say, a lot of people think that just because you have a name, that means you're exempt from some of this treatment. What we're learning is no one is exempt, right? And this woman is, like you said, Hollywood royalty. It's no way that, she should have to deal with some of the stuff that she dealt with, but she dealt with it, reported it, no one took her seriously, reported it again, no one took her seriously. Now she's saying something again,
and she just tweeted it.
Tweeted it as part of the Me Too campaign and put him on blast. So I mean, shout out to her for doing that. Unfortunately, she can't get anything out from now, but at least she's got to be able to say it in this particular arena, and now it might be taken seriously, because everyone's talking about it now, right?
Yeah. Shout out to the Me Too campaign.
Me Too campaign. And shout out to the woman that actually the first person that did it was an African American woman. So shout out to that person. And it caught out from there with Alyssa Milano. So shout out to everybody for jumping on board with the hashtag. Now, white privilege, y'all. The starting point versus the finish line.
How dare you talk about white privilege?
How dare I, right?
That doesn't even exist.
It doesn't exist, right? Well, we're going to look at it from a different perspective. Privilege is privilege, right? And you can't, I mean, if you say someone is privileged, that means they have things that you don't have, opportunities that you don't have, perspective that you're not allowed to have. Well, last week we kind of discuss how a lot of African American viewers are overcoming privilege and the barriers to true equality. Issa Rae actually talked about this on an interview with Complex Magazine, and she said that a lot of people just don't get that we're just not all starting from the same place. It's just not. It's not that we're complaining. We just don't get the same start.
Right.
Well, I wanted to kind of further back that conversation up because recently Gabrielle Union did an interview with The Root, and she talked about it from two perspectives. She talked about how it affects persons racism in terms of, how does she say it?
Oh gosh.
She used LeBron James. She used LeBron James as an example, and she says, you don't get priced out of racism because you have money, right? She said LeBron James is arguably the best player in the world. He's very wealthy, but he wakes up and has the word nigga in his spray painted on his property, and he has kids that he has to explain that to. His money does not price him out of being that to whoever sprayed out of racism. He has millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, but that he doesn't get to price out of racism. The same thing, she also made an example of movies, Hollywood movies. She said, we have to deal with the sentiment about, oh, that's really good for a black film. She said, but let's talk about it from a different level. You only gave us enough money to do this, and we exceeded your expectation. Yeah. Not only did we do good for a black movie, we did good for a movie, period. A film, period, that was not giving the same amount of finances. So we don't all get the same starting point, but we get there, but we still don't get the acknowledgement.
Another point that she said regarding the movies is that the profits, so actors get their money up front, right? Mm-hmm. Crew gets their money up front, and then the studios, they're the ones who recoup the cost and recoup the profit. So they're only given $2, $3, $4 million to make to shoot the movie, $10 million to shoot the movie, which is our small budgets. But the movie made $120 million. Well, look at that profit, and so then they take that money from that little bitty black movie and go fund
other bigger
a Transformers, or go fund a Matrix, or go fund what's our boy from Boston who don't never have black people in this movie?
Ben Affleck.
Affleck movie, right? That go, and so it's these kinds of things that are so disparaging, Kira. And then when you talk about what happened to LeBron, and when I saw the video when she said price out of racism, that was an amazing,
because you can't no amount of money.
These folks don't care.
They don't, but this is the thing. Even African American people don't get that. They think that a lot of people don't think that you are, once you get to this particular, when you get this contract or you getting paid a certain amount of money, that you don't still have to deal with your skin issue. Like, you don't get to walk around now. I'm not going to call names, but most of us aren't going to try to change our skin so that we can fit in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, in understanding that people still know that you're black underneath, right? But you don't get the option to price out because you got the money in the bank, but you're still looked at. It's the story of OJ.
The story of OJ. Shout out Jay-Z.
444.
This is the thing. White privilege is stronger than green privilege.
Oh, that's good.
It's just that simple.
It's
just that simple. Or racism. I'm not going to, because racism is honestly bigger than white privilege. Because some white privilege isn't, we have a colleague who is white and recognizes that he has white privilege, but he says, I'm not going to apologize.
He said, I'm not going to apologize because I didn't choose this.
Because he didn't choose it, but he's woke enough to understand it. So I don't have a problem with that.
But my only issue with that statement when he says it, because he said it more than one time, my issue is, well, what are you doing on the other side of that? Because he's made a lot of examples of where he had an opportunity to, I guess, overcome the racial divide. And I had to be the one to say, hey, but in that situation, you made an assumption. What you could have said was, hey, blank, 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 and show that you were not a part of those who thought differently. I said, because you can think differently, but if you never verbalize it, then you're no better than those persons who are, spewing hate.
Right. For sure. So, your money don't make you. It doesn't make you immune to these effects.
Absolutely.
Period.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't.
Now let's just move along real quickly. Now this is interesting, and I want to just touch on this because I know a lot of persons, people always talk about cheaper to keep her, but maybe not, right? In this situation, Mariah Carey is getting paid from her ex-fiance, not her ex-husband, not her baby daddy. Nick Cannon is not involved in this story, y'all. This is about her and the guy she was engaged to, the guy who was a billionaire. She's getting paid because she said that on the hopes of getting married, she picked up and moved her life to wherever he was located, canceled her tour, all this stuff. And because of that, she estimated she lost a certain amount of money. So she went to court, she sued him, and she won $50 million. Y'all.
Yeah, she won the $50 million judgment, yeah.
Now, Mariah, I can't say that you were wrong for doing what you did because I don't know the cost of what you sacrificed to be with this man. I don't know how much money your tour could have generated or grossed. We don't know that. But it's interesting because in a day where people, I honestly feel like a lot of people really looking for genuine relationships. Mm-hmm. I want to just do a PSA. This is not going to happen all the time, people. Don't go out there thinking that when you and the fiance break up, then you can take this person to court. I want to believe that if what she's saying is factual and true and is provable, then she had a leg to stand on in court. So she didn't sue him just because he was ex-fiance. She sued him on expectation and loss of profit.
Exactly. And there's merit to that argument, right? And so
that's like a business deal.
It's a business deal. So her name is Mariah Carey. Mm-hmm. So she has access to the best lawyers in the world, not just the country, in the world. Mm-hmm. That and so I'm sure they found some sort of legal doctrine, some sort of precedent, some sort of nuance to happen for this to happen. Obviously, right? Because it did happen. I think what was interesting is I want to see who's going to follow suit now. If anybody, you understand what I'm saying? Like, is anybody else going to follow suit? We were engaged, we broke up, you had me move, and so, but I need this bread now.
This is the thing. It might have been based on a lower level court case.
It could have been
because you think about, there's a lot of people who have the lost expectations, especially if they thought that these things was going to happen, and they set their whole life up based upon something, and it didn't occur. Right. We've heard about cases where spouses have sued persons that broke up marriages, like they didn't sue the wife, they sued the person that was coming after the wife. There's a lot of things that they could have used as precedent to kind of craft the case, but this is not the norm. So at all. So my advice would be, when you get married to someone, or when you decide that you want to marry someone, y'all need to kind of iron out all of those issues up front about whether y'all really can or really are compatible. So you won't even have to go through this, because that's not a normal situation that you're going to walk away with, get to secure the bag. It's not always going to be a bag to secure. Sometimes you got to secure, you secure your self-respect and dignity, secure that. Say no. Just secure that.
And she kept the ring, y'all. The ring was probably worth $10 million itself.
That ring right there, y'all.
It looked like a water bottle on her finger.
Y'all, it did.
It was ridiculous.
It was huge. It was huge. And, that would have been enough for most people. Because
sell that joker.
But then what jeweler got the money to they were like,
sure.
you just keep that in the bank.
Smithsonian or something.
Yeah. Okay, so let's end our show talking about Charles D. King. Now, I know a lot of people have heard about this brother. He is a CEO who has raised millions of dollars to fund authentic Black films. And he is doing it in such a great way. He has worked with some of the Hollywood's heavy hitters. He's worked with Oprah Winfrey. He currently has worked with the movie Roman J. Israel Esquire. Mm-hmm. That's the new Denzel Washington movie. And right now he is making headlines because he already raised $150 million to fund his, his company called Marcos Projects. And so his whole thing is, I want to fund Black films. Like we just mentioned, Gabrielle Union said Black films are usually very underfunded, right, and they usually do better in the box office than some of those that are funded heavily. Mm-hmm. And if he can contribute and throw his money into the ring, what more can we do, and how much more can we do as a community of entertainment? Yeah,
listen, our dollar is so strong.
It's so strong.
The African American dollar, like I've read reports that saying that the retail industry would suffer about 65% if African Americans pulled the money out.
I mean,
of
we've
it.
seen that. We've seen that when we talked about LeBron James and his boycott. When he
Exactly.
boycotted the Trump hotels, they were like,
They shut down.
We can't afford to have his name on these hotels
Because
anymore.
people aren't booking.
Because people aren't booking, so we have to
Right.
remove his name from the hotel.
Absolutely. So our black dollar our buying power is amazing, but our business savvy and our business sense is amazing too, which is a testament and being proven by Brother Charles King. So I'm excited about this, man. About Macro, his company Macro. It's
Macro, not Marco.
It's so amazing. Google it, look it up, see how you can get involved, see how you can support, because these are people's lives. This is our entertainment. You know, I love the movie Soul Food. I'm sure that's an extremely common occurrence. You know, Thanksgiving at the table, the big dinner. You know, that's something that we can relate to. We can relate to certain nuances of these films, and also pushing the genre even forward to where we can no longer. It's not just a black film, or a black film isn't synonymous with something that's lower or lesser in production value. And so I love this. I mean, I'm so excited to go see a Roman J. Esquire because it's Denzel. Like anything Denzel puts his name on, you know it's going to be phenomenal. So this is exciting.
This is an exciting time just for people in general, but also for the African American community, because we're starting to see more voices with more heavy hitter support behind them. And so I'm just looking forward to just seeing how this develops and blossoms. And I'm just really thankful for it.
Yeah, Mariah need to go ahead and give some of that money to Macro.
Yeah, I don't think she needs it, but she
Yeah, she
can give it to her kids though. We just gonna say she gonna
for
set
the
up
twins for sure.
She could set up something for the twins so they'll be well off. 25 for each of them.
There it is.
That's how you do it. Set something up, because the Bible declares
That you shall leave an inheritance for who?
your children and children's children.
Your children's children. You
So
hear me?
she's set that up for them. Well, anyways, I think we had an amazing
It was
show.
fun, as always.
It was fun. It was amazing. Thank you for being my guest co-host
Thank you for
again.
having me.
It's my pleasure.
I think you let on, honey.
Oh my gosh. Thank you all for joining, watching Society
For those who are
Now.
listening, this is my wife, so you don't get it twisted.
I am his wife. Thank you for joining us for Society Now. Remember that we really do endeavor to bring you in riveting content that inspires, invokes, and incites. My name is Kira Laws. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at @TheModernDayCindy, and this is my handsome co-host.
Hey, my name is Kaylin Laws. You can follow me at Senor Wapos. I was about to do it again. Senor Wapos 713 on all social media outlets.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Make sure you tune in every Thursday to my Facebook or go on the Sphere Facebook page and watch our little show, the
Not
first
little.
20 minutes, called G is for Gentlemen, where we celebrate gentlemanly style and culture.
And y'all killed it at Sex
Well,
last
thank
week.
you.
Y'all killed it at
we had a
Sex.
collaboration with Saks Fifth Avenue here in
I'm
Houston.
excited
and
about
so
G's
look
for
out for that.
Gentlemen.
Go
I'm
on the
excited.
thank you. Go on the website and check that episode out with myself and our brother Brandon Montgomery, Real Beaumont, and check us out. So we appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a part, and thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.